High-rise buildings, luxury hotels, and premium automobiles. That's probably what comes to mind when you think of Dubai. But what if I told you that Dubai is trying to fool the entire world with that image, and there are many sinister secrets behind the glitz and glam? Dubai might seem like it's only for rich people or those starting a new life, but the fancy lifestyle you see is mostly true for Emiratis, who are just 11% of the population. For the majority of expats living in Dubai, the flashy and glamorous life you see on TV is not what they experience in their everyday lives. South Asians account for 56% of the population, and arguably face some of the worst conditions. And I've witnessed all of these firsthand because I lived here for almost a decade. But before we uncover the dark side of Dubai, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. I'll wait a couple of seconds for you. Done? Perfect. Let's go unravel the dark reality of Dubai nobody's talking about. Number 8. From blooming to bankrupt. There's one thing to note about Dubai. Nothing is what it seems. Just as workers are attracted by appealing offers, the situation is the same for ordinary people in Dubai. All major developed countries like the US or Canada have some accommodation for people needing to file bankruptcy. You would expect that kind of thing in Dubai too, but as it turns out, the second you leave your job with a debt you can't pay off is the second you head to jail. One moment you're living a fantastic life in your big apartment, and the next moment you're living in your Range Rover bawling your eyes out. This was the reality of a woman named Karen Andrews, according to journalist Johan Hari, who shared her story. She expressed how they weren't aware of the bankruptcy laws and their finances slipped them into debt. When they tried making things right, an unfortunate series of events led her husband into jail and her to spend her days hiding from the police, sleeping in her Range Rover for 9 months. Her husband was sentenced to 6 months in prison, and he couldn't even understand the trial because it was done in Arabic with no translators provided. This is just one instance of injustice you may experience in Dubai if you're not extra careful about the law. Just think about that for a second. Number 7. Everything is controlled by a higher power. Dubai is almost a con. The rain, the gardens, the islands, they are all artificial. It's all designed for you to believe what they want you to believe and see what they want to show. You're even conditioned to ignore what they want you to ignore. Any tour guide or museum will sell you the idea that His Highness built this city, when in reality it was built by workers who were lied to, trapped, and are now experiencing nothing short of modern-day slavery. They'll feed you the big vision, but the bubble pops when you start to look around. Tan-skinned construction workers, dressed in blue, numbering in hundreds. No one stops to ask their stories, no one wonders where they go at the end of the day. The newspapers are heavily controlled too. Many environmental activists trying to speak out against the horrors to the earth committed by the Crown are being silenced and threatened. Dubai is all smiles, but only a fraction of them are real. You could walk up to a migrant retail worker, forced to plaster on a smile. Just the usual on the surface, but try asking about their life, why they came here to what they ended up with. That's when things start looking a lot more gloomy than you'd anticipate. Number 6. The labor conditions are close to slavery. The towering skyscrapers and opulent resorts you see around the city didn't just appear. Their foundation rests on the backs of thousands of migrant workers. These people were motivated by the hope for a better life and were attracted to the job opportunities that Dubai advertised. The city promised salaries that matched their hard work. Much to their surprise, they ended up facing harsh working conditions and never seeing their promised riches. Many laborers are housed in labor camps situated on the outskirts of the city, away from the tourists' eyes. Though these camps are essential for providing shelter, they often fall short of international standards for humane living conditions. In some areas, up to 20 men share one room. The purification of the water supply to these camps is well below the priorities, and countless workers fall sick with no incentives for their medical care. The camps also have limited power supply, and almost as if to add insult to injury, the poorly ventilated rooms are often infested with insects and rodents. The stark contrast between the luxurious accommodations they contribute to building and their own living quarters is a startling reminder of the disparities within the city. Here's a shocker. According to UN agencies, around 300,000 workers in the Emirates don't have legal permits. Many times, these workers lose their passports to agencies, and it's not easy for them to go back home. Plus, with the confusing visa and sponsorship rules, these workers are left in a difficult situation. They can be taken advantage of and are stuck in a complicated situation that makes it hard for them to speak up or attain better working conditions. Refusal to work will, in the best case, have them deported or, in the worst case, jailed. Not just the living conditions, but the working conditions and hours for these laborers are also horrible. Workers have to endure long hours of manual labor, sometimes up to 18 hours in the scorching heat, with temperatures frequently hitting up to 50 degrees Celsius. Dubai has kept up a pristine image by taking measures only when in view of the common man. So while tourist attractions may be closed off during heat waves, the same can't be said about the migrant workers expected to continue their grind. The demanding nature of the work, along with extended periods away from home, takes a serious toll on their well-being. And you know what's even worse? Safety. There have been countless accidents due to inadequate protective measures. The suicide rate among the Asian population of Dubai has been horrifically accelerating in recent years. It averages out to 2 suicides occurring every week, all committed by Asian migrant workers. It makes you wonder how much they really prioritize the well-being of these workers. It's a tough situation all around. The bottom line is that the government doesn't intervene to regulate pay rates or set up proper working standards. Their only focus seems to be rapid economic growth, even if it comes at the expense of the workers' best interests. Number 5. There's a lack of actual freedom. In Dubai, talking about certain things can be a bit tricky. They have rules that say you can't criticize the government or important individuals. If you do, you might end up facing fines or even land in trouble with the law. This means residents have to be very mindful about what they say. With strict rules governing public behavior, from what you wear to public displays of affection, the cultural norms might leave you feeling a bit restricted. It's not all sunshine and beaches here. Even on social media, there are strict rules. Authorities keep an eye on what people post online, and if they find something they don't like, there can be consequences. So people often have to think twice before expressing certain opinions. It makes you wonder, how do you balance being transparent with respecting cultural norms? It's a bit of a challenge in a place like Dubai, where they're pushing for modern vibes but also want to keep things in line with their traditions. The whole situation brings up questions about how much freedom of speech should be allowed in a changing society like Dubai. Number 4. Women aren't treated like the rest of the world. In Dubai, there are times when women feel like they're not treated as equals. Some old-school ideas about how women should act and dress are still around. It makes you wonder, are these expectations holding some women back? The rules, influenced by Islamic law, can sometimes put women at a disadvantage in areas like family matters. Changes are happening, but it's not enough. Some women feel a bit stuck, especially when it comes to work, as unequal pay and opportunities persist. In fact, the mean national gender pay gap in 2020 was about 15% for private sector services. The legal system in the UAE, including Dubai, is influenced by Islamic law. While there have been efforts to modernize laws, there are still areas where women's rights aren't fully aligned with international standards. For example, issues related to family law, marriage, and divorce may have different implications for women compared to men. It's not the same for everyone, though. Some women in Dubai are doing great things, working, studying, and making their own choices. But how can the city keep moving forward to make sure every woman feels free to pursue what she wants? It's a work in progress, and conversations about making things better for women in Dubai are ongoing. Number 3. The development is unsustainable and will collapse. Dubai's transformation into a dazzling city of the future has been impressive, but there are concerns about how it's all happening. Dubai is filled with jaw-dropping skyscrapers and artificial islands, but the energy needed for all this is extremely high. The blazing desert heat means Dubai needs a lot of water, and they get it through energy-hungry desalination. It's a trade-off between having enough water and using up tons of energy, and those artificial islands, as remarkable as they are, still mess with the sea and marine life. Ministers of Health and Tourism have remained silent time and time again, even when citizens themselves reach out to complain. In fact, one woman with a large following on an online forum complained about the ministry's unresponsiveness. She had reported that guests complained about finding feces and trash on the hotel beach, making them sick multiple times. She also expressed distress over the authorities' negligence of the environment. The woman then started receiving anonymous threats of deportation if she didn't keep quiet. Dubai is realizing it needs to be more sustainable. They're talking about clean energy and trying to balance the glam development with being eco-friendly. Though it's unclear if anything more than just talk will ever happen. Can a city known for luxury and excess go green without slowing down its progress? The carbon footprint per head in Dubai is 3 times that of America. It's a challenge they're starting to tackle, and it'll be interesting to see how Dubai shapes its future. Number 2. The government is autocratic. Dubai's governmental style is a one-person show. The ruler and ruling families hold a lot of power, and decisions mostly come from the top down. Sounds efficient, right? But there's a flip side to it. There's not much room for different voices. No political parties or elections like we might be used to. If you're not on board with the government, expressing that can get you in trouble. So you've got to wonder, does this setup limit people's say in how things are run? The concentration of power can also raise questions about transparency and accountability. Without many checks and balances, how do you make sure things are fair for everyone? It's a trade-off between quick development and having a say in how your city is shaped. As Dubai continues to grow, it's a bit of a balancing act. Can a city thrive economically while also giving people more of a say in how it's run? It's a question that keeps popping up as Dubai maps out its trajectory for the future. Number 1. The Smart City Initiative is propaganda. Dubai is diving deep into advanced tech like AI, data collection, and surveillance. It sounds cutting edge, but it raises legitimate privacy questions. Residents might worry about the extent to which their daily lives are monitored, and who holds access to this vast amount of personal data. It's like living in a city that's always watching. While technology can make things more accessible and convenient, there's a worry about whether everyone gets to enjoy these benefits. People are concerned that certain groups might miss out, making social inequalities even more pronounced instead of lessening them. As Dubai pushes forward into this high-tech future, it's worth wondering where the balance lies between being a smart city and safeguarding individual rights. Dubai tries to control and manipulate, frequently sidelining the voices of its people, an approach that lacks justification. The restrictive laws of the UAE not only diminish individual rights, but also invade fundamental human rights and democratic principles. That's the reason why some people decide that Dubai is not the place for them to live their best lives. And this is the end of our video. If you liked hearing about the dark reality of Dubai's glamour, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. That way we'll book you a passenger seat on our upcoming video travels. In the meantime, check out this cool video right here.